Some of the most frequently voiced concerns about legalizing marijuana are crime and also quality of life issues. Would Northampton turn into a mini Denver after legalization with the smell of marijuana all over the city? In part 3 of our special report, Going to Pot, I stroll the streets and also speak with the police chief to get some answers. It's no surprise that the first legal recreational marijuana dispensary east of Colorado, NETA, or New England Treatment Access, opened here in Northampton, Massachusetts.
Among the most progressive cities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and generally has been on the forefront of social change and social movements, including with cannabis. I believe it fits with the ethic of Northampton, for sure.
It's always around here. It's always around a lot of places.
Around this area, it was always here and it was always happening. So maybe now everybody's a little bit more relaxed about it.
Marijuana was definitely a part of Northampton before the dispensary, absolutely.
Clearly, marijuana has been a part of life in Northampton for some people for a long time, and it's obviously a part of life here now since legalization. But has it become more of a nuisance? There is one talking point we've been hearing ever since we got to Northampton that frankly is just hard to believe. That despite the availability of legal over 21 marijuana for sale to everybody, that there just aren't incidents of people lighting up and smoking throughout town. No nuisance complaints, as it were. Seems hard to believe, so we decided to go on a hunt and put that theory to the test. First stop, this Parkin skatepark just off of downtown Northampton. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon, about a dozen people in the park. We didn't see or smell anybody using. We did ask one of the skaters. He said, not uncommon to see people smoking here from time to time. Next, we came here to Look Park. It's 150 acres of open spaces, playgrounds, campsites, even a train ride for the kids and pedal boats. We saw a lot happening in the park. We just didn't see anybody smoking cannabis. And it was the same story all over town until this is Pulaski Park. We're just 3 blocks off of Main Street and a couple of buildings down from City Hall. And despite the no smoking signs and the kids playing everywhere, you can definitely smell smoke in the park. What we don't know is if that's a result of legalization. Some people have told us it's a relatively new phenomenon, people smoking here. Others say it's been happening for a long, long time.
People smoke it all over the streets. It smells disgusting. They have no respect for anybody in front of kids, and it's horrible.
But a lot of other people told us a different story.
I don't personally see any impact to the community.
We haven't seen any major negative impacts.
We haven't noticed anything, I would say.
Certainly not a negative impact.
Certainly haven't noticed that much of a difference.
Not me, not at all.
We haven't seen increases in crime.
But we'll wait until we get actual crime data that we look at over a calendar year and see if we've noticed comparable differences or differences compared to other years. But we haven't noticed anything.
So then why did we see people smoking pot with kids nearby in a public park close to City Hall?
It's no longer a criminal offense, so we can't arrest someone for using. The most we can do is write them a money citation. If an officer sees that, sure, they will stop and say, hey, you can't consume publicly, and they'll have a conversation with them. They may issue them the citation. It's unlikely. You know, most people just pack up and say, hey, nobody wants them, you know, they don't want the money ticket.
Leaving all communities, whether considering legalization or not, with a choice. Make smoking in public a non-arrestable offense and you risk lots of public smoking, or keep the rules strict, which means more marijuana arrests. That's one of the things decriminalization and legalization were designed to reduce. But as it turns out, the biggest law and order or nuisance complaints since NETA opened here has little to do with the products they sell.
Cars,
just a lot of traffic.
And cars.
Traffic is a little heavier.
And cars.
It's a lot of traffic, but we expected that.
And with up to 3,000 customers a day, many from out of state, traffic remains a concern. But it's mainly, we're told, confined to weekends now, and NETA is located near the interstate, which eases the pressure a little more. Littering was also a problem, so NETA sent employees into the neighborhood to help, but there are other concerns.
I had very specific concerns about impaired operators over time.
Impaired operators is police chief speak for people driving while high. Now, there's been no alarm, no crisis. The numbers are apparently close to where they were before adult use was legalized, but still.
We don't have a bright line of, well, this is impairment, this isn't. We don't have good ways to measure it. So we're a little bit behind on our impaired operator laws. If you're impaired, you're under the influence of marijuana, and I pull you over and you've been a little weird on the road. I mean, sure, could I write you a ticket for marked lanes or, you know, drifting over the lines or going through a stop sign, sure, I could issue you a civil citation, $100 or $50, whatever it may be. But a civil citation means you get the ticket and you're on your way. When we're dealing with an impaired operator, I need to get you off the road. You're a danger.
And right now, the laws related to marijuana impairment just don't work like they do with alcohol.
If I pull you over for impaired operation of alcohol, I say to you, you have to take a breathalyzer test. If you refuse, I'm going to take your license away for kind of a long time. If I think you're under the influence of marijuana and I say you have to take a urine test and you have to be subjected to a drug evaluation, which is blood pressure, pulse, eye things, you can say, no, I don't want to do that. And we have no recourse. So that's not good. That doesn't work.
And that is a concern for every place where marijuana has been legalized or where it's under consideration. There's also one more law and order concern when it comes to legal cannabis, that all the people who come to NETA with out-of-state plates will be breaking the law just as soon as they cross the state line.
Someone who's coming over the line from Connecticut is welcome to come to NETA. But what we also say to that customer, you know you can't take cannabis across state lines.
We don't focus on what people are doing with marijuana once they get it. I think that's beyond our span of control. I can't predict what people are going to do with things that they get.
Up next, we continue our series by looking at how the children of Northampton are being impacted by the legalization of recreational marijuana.